Robocops are here, and they're set to be patrolling your streets by 2016. I am serious. Now, these humanoid robots are currently controlled remotely by a person wearing an Oculus Rift headset and motion tracking vest, armbands, and gloves. The voice of the robot operator is transmitted through the robot to the unfortunate citizen on the receiving end. Now, the menacing look of Telebot is no accident. Its design is one that can intimidate and display a sense of authority. A fully autonomous Robocop is already in the works. This is the Nightscope K5. It does not wield weapons, but it serves as a total surveillance machine for cops or private clients. It has facial recognition and scans 1,500 license plates per minute, captures audio and 360-degree video, tests the air for chemicals, and maps its surroundings with 3D radar and laser. And it can learn to distinguish suspicious activities from normal activities. So hopefully they'll be able to do that a little bit better than our current law enforcement, which, as we know, people are getting killed for completely normal activities that they deem suspicious. So these Dalek-like robots will be recording people's actions and conversations in public places all over the place in just a few years. And of course, will these robots be given a license to kill without fear of prosecution? Now, we're already seeing a lot of people calling for rights to be given to robots after Boston Dynamics released this video of their new robotic dog. Online critics were saying that this robot dog, which was being kicked around repeatedly by employees, they were just wanting to show its dexterity. But people online were saying that the robot dog was being mistreated and that it was cruel and wrong and potentially unethical. So we're already seeing that with this robotic dog. What happens when AI is able to have an empathetic brain? It emulates a human brain, and now it has feelings. Does that robot's life have more value than a human life? So these are some really interesting ethical questions that we're going to have to be facing here in a very short time. Now, Google's vice president has warned internet users of a coming dark age. This will be a digital dark age, and he tells users to print out treasured photographs or risk losing them forever. He said because so much data is now kept in digital format, future generations will struggle to understand our society because technology is advancing so quickly that old files will be inaccessible. Future generations will wonder about us, but they will have very great difficulty knowing anything about us. Now, Mr. Cerf said that there was a huge problem with the ability to preserve and run software over long periods of time. There's a great burden, he says, to find a way to create digital formats that can still be accessed in thousands of years. And he's recommending the creation of a system which will not only store a digital format, but preserve details of the software and the operating system that's needed to access it so it can be recreated in the future. But scientists are already working on the ultimate hard drive. They say that they're going to be storing data inside of DNA, which could last for millions of years. Now, the potential for DNA to be used for data storage has been discussed for years, but it's not the most reliable currently, and it's kind of difficult to extract that data. But the latest breakthrough could be about to change all of that. Now, in the past, retrieving data encoded in genes proved tricky because there would be gaps and false information in that encoded data. But scientists then incorporated an error correction that was similar to what is currently used in laptops and telephones. They overlapped DNA, basically making 3 backups of every single strand. And on top of that, scientists have now been inspired by fossils. Researchers from Zurich encased DNA in a fossil shell, and they subjected these shells, or silica spheres, to extreme temperatures. This is what happens to DNA. That's the chemical degradation that you'll see in nature. But they found that the data that was stored on these frozen strands was able to be successfully decoded. Now, currently, this technology is restricted because it takes a long time to sequence DNA, but it also costs about $12,000 per megabyte of stored material. But they say on the plus side, DNA data storage, just 1 gram of DNA can store the equivalent of 14,000 Blu-ray discs. And theoretically, 100 million hours of high-def video could be stored on just a cupful of DNA. This amounts to every single television show and movie that's ever been created. And they say a DNA archive doesn't require a constant supply of electric power like hard disks do. So how wonderful, can you even believe it? We're going to be starting to store our data on DNA. The scientists say that if it was to be injected currently into a human subject, it would just dissolve because it's not that natural material. But if they could, I mean, it would be like that scene in The Matrix where Neo is able to learn how to kick ass just by downloading the software. That would be pretty amazing, but there's also some other implications. I mean, they could literally rewrite history and then upload that into our DNA. I mean, there's just no telling what they're going to do in the future.